Hey, my name's Jonathan, and I'm a veteran.
Hi, my name is Daryl, and I'm a veteran.
My name is Chad, and I'm a veteran.
Hey, I'm Travis. I'm an Air Force veteran.
Hi, my name's Ashley, and I'm a veteran.
Well, good Sunday evening. My name is Kara Lee. You're watching Conversations with a Vet. Hope everybody's having a great day, great evening. And I have a wonderful guest waiting in the wings over here. But before we get started, I wanted to say, first off, thank you to each and every one of my subscribers. I'm over 270, so that's awesome. When we hit the 500 mark, we will be doing a giveaway. So make sure, tell your friends, tell your veteran friends especially, and let them know we've got a place for them to come tell their story if they care to. I want to share a couple of books that have been sent to me from veterans. So if you're interested, you can pick each one of these up on Amazon. The first is from Jason Lee Morrison. It's called The Perfect Fucking Life. Pardon my French. And it is his thoughts at different moments in time when he was deployed and in his life. He's also working on a second book about his thoughts on where he is today. The second book is called Internal Volume, and that is from Lee Allen Deckelman, another great read. You can find that, as I said, also on Amazon. It talks about his time in the military, the things that he went through himself and his struggles and where he is at now mentally and physically, which is a great read. And then the one I just got this past weekend is called From Sailor to Backyard Cook. It's put together by Richard Fleek. And Richard Fleek was a guest on the show. He also has several podcasts as well as a nonprofit called Minutes Wisely. And for every sale of this book, it goes towards the nonprofit. The nonprofit will take that money and then send Gold Star families to different sporting events. And they host them, take them directly to their seats, treat them like the kings and queens, etc. So some really great books, really great reads. This one, by the way, this cookbook has a bunch of recipes from different veterans. So really excited to actually just close my eyes. I think I'm going to pick one and cook it and see how it turns out. So I'm really excited about that one as well. Again, thank you, each and every one of you who's popped on. Jim, thank you. Jason, appreciate you as always for being here and supporting me. So let's go ahead. My guest tonight, his name is Rich LaMonica, and he has his own podcast, but he's also an Army veteran. So please welcome Rich.
Hey, thanks for having me, Carol Lee. Awesome to be here on Conversations with a Vet.
I'm excited to have a conversation with you. I really am. I've heard a lot about you and Misfit Nation. That's a really quite a neat little podcast or a little, a YouTube channel that you've got there.
Yeah, it's a work in progress always, as as a host, you're always trying to work to be better and find more people to come on and get great stories. We started about 4 years. We're in season 4 now, so we'll end season 4 at the end of this year, of course. Our 400th episode is this week. It'll be amazing to have that come on Thursday. I believe Thursday will be our 400th episode that we record and go live on YouTube. I'm super pumped for that. I've been able to add in my brother and one of my great friends, Jake Holland, to have their own show on Tuesdays, the Tuesday Crew. So it's the Tuesday Crew brought to you by the Misfit Nation. It's awesome to bring them on and get them to have their voice out there. And it's just a great feeling to connect and do all that for everyone else.
That's awesome. I'm really excited. 400. I just can't imagine to have 400 episodes. I think I'm only in the 20s. I might have hit 30. I only started this in October, so still really, really new. But I really do appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day and schedule to come on and tell your story. Jason says, welcome and thank you so much for your service.
Thanks, Jason.
Jim says, also, thank you for your service, Rich.
Thank you, Jim.
So let's start. The question I always love to ask is, tell me a little bit about your childhood.
My childhood. All right. Awesome. Born and raised in Jersey City, New Jersey.
Hmm.
Uh, my mom and dad, both hard workers. My dad worked up to sometimes 3 jobs at a time. My mom's working at least 2 jobs. We lived in a railroad apartment. For those of you who don't know, there's no hallways in a railroad apartment. So all the rooms are connected by just a door. So you go living room, bedroom, bedroom, bedroom. There's no privacy whatsoever. You got to walk through each other's bedrooms. And all 3 boys were in the far bedroom. So we had to walk through my sister's room, my mom and dad's room, and then our room, or the Thunderdome, whatever you want to call it, because 3 boys in a room, it's going to be a problem. My oldest brother, he joined the Navy when me and my other brother were probably we were still like 6th and 7th grade of elementary school. So he joined the Navy. That gave us a little more room in there, but it was still 2 boys in a room. And when boys are together, bad things happen. I don't care what family you're in. Boys together are bad. And we learned a lot. I learned a lot in that family growing up in the city, but I also learned a lot of how to be tough, yes, but also how to be smart in the streets, how to survive in different situations. But my dad taught us all the time hard work equals reward. And as we grew up, I always watched what he did and all the hard work he did to help us. It helped us exponentially along the way. And I took notes without knowing I was taking notes. And this,
Right.
being a mom, you think you're talking on deaf ears, talking to your kids.
100%.
My dad probably felt the same way, that he was talking to deaf ears, but I was taking notes in there somehow. I didn't realize I was, but as I became a soldier, just like he was, against his wishes, of course,
Okay.
because I was the youngest, and I started school I was born in November, so my birth date I was younger than most people in my class. So when it came time to join, I had to have his signature, and he wouldn't sign. So he said, enough of us have joined, you can go to college. So at that point, I had not taken any classes to get me ready for college. I had to go back into my senior year and take classes with sophomores, juniors, and seniors to get all the classes correct to go to college. So I finally had passed the SAT, did all that stuff. I said, Dad, look, I'm getting to college. He said, okay, cool. How are you going to pay for it? I said, wow, okay. You wanted me to do this. Now I got to go and get a job now to do this. So I was going to college. I played college football just so I can go out and hit somebody during college. And I was working at UPS from 11 o'clock at night to 3 in the morning.
Oh, wow.
So after a couple of years, I said, that's it. I can make my own decisions now. I joined the Army in 1993. And after 2015, after 22 years, I retired from the Army.
Wow. And so were you studious? Did you like school?
Not at all. No. I, I guess we went to a Catholic school for my elementary years, and you have to be smart there, or you had to learn, or you wind up doing get a lot of punishments. Uh, we actually had our 40th anniversary, our 40th reunion last weekend in New Jersey at my elementary school. A lot of people laugh when I say we had our 40th reunion for elementary school.
That's unique.
Yeah, but it's awesome to still have those friends in your life and have those people that are still there, your core group. And when all of us laughed about all of our experiences of the nuns teaching us, learning us new methods of learning. But it all sunk in, and it helped me as I went through high school. And when I took that challenge in senior year to get all those classes done, all the lessons they taught me during my K through 8 kind of helped me in 12th grade. And then when I went to college, like most kids, I did not want to be there. And I didn't get my college degree till 2015. So that's how much of a hard head I was. I didn't get my bachelor's degree till 2015.
And so I'm assuming being from a Catholic school and struggling to get the classes that you needed to get to college in your senior year, the discipline that they instilled that helped tremendously.
Oh, 100%. All the little nuances that they taught us, it kind of, I guess, just kind of like the lessons my dad taught me. It was stuck in the brain housing unit there, and it kind of came out, and I was like on autopilot just doing it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you sign up to join the Army, and how was your time talking to the recruiter?
This would be the second time I talked to a recruiter. It was the first time I needed my dad's signature. This time I talked to my recruiter. I was going to go Air Force, but the Air Force moved. The Air Force moved 45 minutes away, and we didn't have a car. So I was like, you know what? It's either Army or Marines or Navy. My brother's in the Navy. I said, so it has to be Army or Marines. The Marine dude was out of the office. The Army goes like, hey, I'll talk to you. So, all right, awesome, dude. Let's do this. I said, my dad said I just shouldn't go infantry. He said, all right, I got these jobs here to be awesome for you. And I wound up being a chemical operations specialist.
Wow. Okay. So did you have to in your basic training, did you have to go through the chemical training like with the mask
Oh, yes.
and what
Yeah.
did you think of that?
I thought it was fun because it was going to be my career anyway. Chemical weapons was going to be my career.
Mhm.
So we went through the gas chamber. Everyone has to go through the CS chamber during basic training and mass confidence chamber, whatever your political correct word they use now for it. But you
I
go in
have no idea. I know my middle son when he went through it, he said the same thing. He absolutely loved it. He
Yeah.
thought that was great fun. I think he's kind of sick and twisted. I don't know.
I think we all might be a little bit sick and twisted once we go through it. And once I made it through basic AIT and AIT, we not only do CS chamber, we go through a live nerve agent chamber. So you're in
Wow.
there with live nerve agent working to give you confidence in your equipment. And then you get to your first duty station and say, hey, run the CS chamber. So now you get to turn the tables. Now you're not the kid going through, you're the person leading those going through. And you just laugh when people come in there thinking they're all cool and hardcore. And you tell them break their seal in the mask. They start coughing, drooling, and you're just laughing. And then after a while, I didn't even wear a mask in there because became immune to it. So I would
I
just
would
sit there.
never have guessed that you could become immune to that.
I would just sit there and laugh at them because they think I was in there with nothing on. They'd come in and say, oh, I can take my mask off. And then they start choking and they'd run. And in those days, for some reason, for whatever reason, the Army would always put a tree right outside the door. And people would run right to that tree, or the first person at the tree, the others would fall off to the side. And I would just
Imagine
laugh.
that with that mask on, just the concussions. Oh my
It was
gosh.
amazing.
That's really funny. So when you first went in and you were choosing an MOS, is this what you chose? Or is this just what they gave you?
I had other options. I can't remember the other options, but chemical was the one that stood out to me. And people after me were sold on it that they'd wear lab coats and they'd work in a lab. I was not given that sales pitch. I was told I'd learn maintenance and I'd learn how to defend against chemical warfare. I said, that sounds like a pretty cool job. Let me go ahead and do that. And I just went
That,
with it.
you know, I don't know if somebody said to me, chemical warfare, you're going to learn about chemical warfare. I think I would turn around and run because it's just, you hear all the stories, right, of what
Yes.
chemicals can do and uh, all that. So I can't even begin to fathom the kind of training that you went through. But before we get into that, tell me a little bit about how basic went outside of the gas chamber. Any funny stories you can recall? Anything the instructors did?
I think probably the funniest thing was when we were getting I guess accepted or welcomed in by the drill sergeants. You go from replacement company, you wind up at your company at your duty station basically. Delta Company 82nd Chemical Battalion was where I went, and they jump on the bus and say, "Welcome to the 82nd Chemical Battalion. I'm your drill instructor, drill sergeant. You have 8 seconds to get off this bus." And people just stomping over each other to get off this bus. And we had this small female in our class. She was probably 4'8", if that, and her duffel bag was bigger than her. So she had that in front of her, and she ran out and she fell, and her feet were still moving, but she was like stuck on that duffel bag, and nothing was touching the ground. And
Oh,
that stuck out in my memory forever. That her arms and feet moving, but nothing was touching the ground, and that's probably the funniest moment in basic training.
oh my gosh. So, what was your first thought when you first dealt with an instructor?
The first one, my first thought was like, all right, these dudes are pretty serious. It's not just all fun and games. Maybe I should just listen a little bit and try to get my feel and see how far I can push them before they snap on me.
Ah, one of those.
Yes, I was not a very good private, I guess you'd say at that point. I was testing the elements, and I learned really hard. I learned pretty good lessons towards the end of my basic training.
Yeah.
Yeah, I called my drill sergeant a liar, and he had this twitch on his face. He kind of looked like Freddy Krueger, and
No.
his face was kind of twitching. And I called him a liar. He jumped over his desk at me like in one fell swoop. He was up and over the desk at me. And I was bent backwards. The next thing I know, I was just doing push-ups for the rest of my life. The rest of basic training, I was doing push-ups every time he looked at me.
Oh my gosh. Well, what did you learn from that?
Uh, think before you speak.
Oh my goodness. Ron, welcome. Thank you so much for joining tonight. So, yes. Okay. So you go through with the chemical battalion and you're going through all of that training. And what was the training like for a chemical battalion specifically?
Well, we learn all the aspects of defending against chemical warfare. So how to protect your soldiers that you'll be assigned with from the elements of chemical warfare. And the other aspects at that time were decontamination. So how to clean them if they do get exposed to it, and to train them how to clean themselves. And at that, we also did obscuration, so smoke. We had smoke generators where we can blow smoke on the battlefield and cover up people so you can hide and move around the battlefield without being noticed. So it was pretty cool. A lot of pretty cool stuff. I liked science a lot in school, so this helped me a lot.
Excellent. Excellent. And so Ron Wayne says, thanks for your service.
Thanks, Ron.
So, gosh, I can only imagine. So you learned how to take, the different types of masks and how to properly prepare them. And
Yes.
how
How,
many? Oh, go ahead.
how to fit them, how to make sure everyone knew what they were doing and stuff like that.
Okay. So, um, out of that, I mean, I would assume your worst part of your training had to be had to be doing a bazillion push-ups.
I got pretty strong pretty quick.
With your football experience in college, was basic difficult when it came to the physical stuff?
Not at all. The physicality of it was fun to me. Learning new ways to do stuff like the obstacle course. I never did an obstacle course before that, so that was just something new. But the physicality wasn't bad.
But was it fun learning?
Yeah, I had fun. I always had fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I know our middle son, and he was showing us when we went for graduation, and he was showing us the obstacle course, just really excited about it and really proud of himself for getting through it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And
So tell us, oh, go ahead.
I'm sure as a mom, you didn't think it was fun looking at it, but
Yeah.
I'm sure he had a blast.
Yeah, standing on top of, just one little.
One little plank. Yes.
Yes, and then jumping face first to grab a bar, and yeah, it was quite interesting. But boy, he was so proud of himself, and so of course I was very proud of him too when I saw it. Uh, so I was really really impressed with how far he'd come. So I can imagine anyone who joins the military in general getting through basic training or boot camp is just a huge accomplishment.
Yes.
So tell me about where you went. So where was your duty station? Your first
Um,
duty station.
my first duty station was Fort Stewart, Georgia, and I was there from '93 to '95. In that time, I met my wife. We'll be married 30 years here in May. So
Congratulations.
thank you. And it was just my when I left high school and when I left home, my parents said that I'll never get married because I can't stay with one woman, and I, I was not a settler, a settle down kind of guy. And when I met her and I went home at Christmas of '93 and I actually called her, my mom looked at me and said, "You're going to marry her." I said, "What? You never call a woman back." I said, "Oh my God, mom, you're crazy." And I married her. So she was right. So Fort Stewart was great to me. From there, I went to Korea, my first tour in Korea. I was with the Air Defense Artillery there, came back to Fort Campbell for the first time in 96 to 99. From there, I went to Fort Riley, Kansas. I was there from 99 to 2005. In that time, I was deployed 2 times to the global war on terrorism. From there, I went to Army Depot in Anniston, Alabama, right near where I went to basic training at Fort McClellan, where I got to oversee civilians destroy chemical weapons. Our chemical weapons stockpile was probably the most amazing duty station I had. I met 300 amazing Americans who were doing great jobs, great work for our country. And from there, I went back to Korea for 2 years, this time with my wife and daughter. They both came with me. And I was like tour guide Barbie over there, showing him everything that I should have seen the first time, but I really didn't see. So this time I was kind of catching up, seeing everything in Korea with them. I came back from there back to Fort Campbell for 3 years again, and deployed 2 times to global war on terrorism to Afghanistan. From there, I went to Aberdeen, Maryland for my final probably 18 months, and then PCS back to Fort Campbell for 2 days to retire. Can't hear you.
How about now?
Yeah, I got you now.
Awesome. Your first deployment to Korea.
Yes.
Tell me how that was when you first stepped foot there.
Well, the first time in Korea, I got there in '95, and when you landed in '95, you landed you disembarked the plane outside. So you didn't go into a terminal.
You're on the tarmac.
Went down the stairs on the tarmac. It was hot. It was July, and you can smell the rice patties and
Really?
oh yeah, it was a very horrible smell at that time, and mostly because it's unknown to you at that point,
Right.
because they fertilize it with feces and such, just like we fertilize fields here, but it's just so hot there. And I got off the plane and said, "Oh my lord, where am I?" And it just settling in there and trying to become one with the culture and learning everything as you go, and then kind of melting into your unit. It was a eye-opening experience, my first tour there.
It's interesting you used the terminology melting in with your unit. It's as hot as it was.
Yes.
So did you learn Korean while you were there?
I learned how to ask for a beer my first tour. Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
And
OB Juicio.
and what was it like with your um I just went, "Whew." Did that ever happen to you right in the middle of
like
something?
like almost every day.
Oops, I hit my space bar. Okay. So when you got with your unit, um, were there pre-existing people from there already when you
Yes, there
okay.
were. The unit it was a 88 unit, a Patriot unit, Patriot missiles. I'm sure you heard about them through Desert Storm and such. And up till today, they still use them. They had deployed to Korea as a unit, and what they were doing is they were starting to rotate people in and out. And it was a 143 air defense artillery at the time. I was an Echo battery, so a lot of them knew each other for a long time. And then there was some guys like myself and supply guys and such, and a new ADA guys who were coming in as replacements. So it was kind of a mixture of old and new. So kind of the mind melding with each other and feeling each other out, and just becoming part of the unit. It was a pretty cool experience.
And what did they think when they heard what your MOS was?
Oh, this unit actually loved chemical warfare training, because their job was to shoot down missiles and such that might carry chemical weapons. So part of their job was to be and to train with chemical weapons as much as possible, train to for the possibility of a chemical attack as much as possible. So I
So you
had the
fit right
most.
in.
Oh, definitely. I had the most training possible with that unit that I had in probably my whole career.
Oh, wow. Okay. And then you went on to Afghanistan, first tour for the War on Terror. And what was that like when you stepped down?
In Afghanistan,
Yep.
my first time in Afghanistan was 2010. I landed in let's see, Bagram Air Base. Yeah, I landed in Bagram first, I believe. No, Kandahar. I landed in Kandahar. It was just and there's this big sewer pit there in Kandahar. So again, you get off and you get this waft of
What
smell.
is it with putting airplanes down or a runway near a pile of poop?
They call it the stink pond or something there. It was horrible. And you get off the plane, you're like, oh my God, what happened here? Did someone die? But yes, people did die there. I mean, it's the sewer was right there by the airfield. But getting in, I was a replacement NCO into that unit, and that's where the Misfit Nation comes from. That tour right there in 2010. So I went and I met my unit at Fob Wilson, or it was then called Fob Pasab after that. And my unit was everyone from my battalion that from different companies within the battalion were put into a platoon, and I was made the platoon sergeant. So we were like the island of misfit toys. Everyone that no one wanted, and we took that, we owned it, and we became the Misfits. And now it's the Misfit Nation.
And so these people that are on that are part of Misfit Nation are ones that you served with during
Uh,
that first deployment to Afghanistan?
RJ Bird is the one of my co-hosts. He is, yes.
Excellent. And so tell us a little bit. I mean, obviously, I've never been to Afghanistan. Tell us what it was like, as you know, the landscape, uh, barracks, yeah, whatever you want to tell us about.
Afghanistan is multiple different worlds, I guess you like to call it. Kandahar, when I first got there in 2010, flat deserts, desert plain, hot, moon dust. As you walk, this dust just comes up in the air. It burns your lungs as you run, or burns your lungs as you go on patrol. People hate you no matter what, because that's the birthplace of the Taliban down there. And you have to be your head had to be on a swivel at all points down there. We went on patrol every single day there, at least once a day, sometimes twice a day. We probably had the most patrols for a non-combat MOS that there was in theater at that point. And then the next year, so it was 2010, 11. Then 2012, I went to Kunar province in Afghanistan, which is northeast, and it's a totally different animal up there. So now you're in the mountains, so it's like going into Appalachia or into the Rockies of Colorado, I guess would be another good reference for that. So you have snow, it's mountains, you're at higher altitude. You get more, it's more cold up there, and it's a lot harder to maneuver up there because of the mountains. And people, they still hate you no matter what. The Taliban still hate you. Both sections. And
I'm sorry. Just the way you said that, I'm sorry. I'm laughing. I shouldn't laugh.
it's all right, you can laugh. It's your show. I mean,
Ah,
we had awesome people that worked with us. My interpreters are awesome. Three of them live here in the United States right now.
that's great.
One is in DC. His whole family came over. One is a tour in Texas. One is in Houston as a security guard now. But the one that's in DC, after I got wounded, I got wounded as soon as I got back in country. Basically 2 days back in country, I got wounded. I got hit with a mortar, hit behind me, went through the back of my left leg out the front.
In country?
In country, as soon as I got back in country, basically. So back in theater, and I got evac. I refused evac back to the States, went back to my unit, but I had to go back for care. So I took a hop back, and there was no rides, there was no helicopters going back. So I jumped in a convoy, and my interpreter was on the convoy with me just by happenstance. And we're driving, and he's like, "Hey, Sergeant, put your helmet on." I said, "What's up?" He said, "We're about to get ambushed." I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "We're going to get ambushed. I just got a call. We're going to get ambushed." And bam, we got hit. I said, "Man, I don't know if I should punch you or hug you right now, because we just got attacked and you told me we were going to be attacked." But then you realize the culture. They know everyone there, and it's either survive. You got to survive by knowing people. But he took care of us the whole way through the rest of that deployment. I always knew when something was going to happen, and he would always tell us. He would tell people not to come after us because he liked us as as humans, basically.
Aw.
Yeah,
And now he's here.
he's here. Yes,
Awesome. So you guys still in touch?
yes, 100%.
That's amazing. That's great. And so did you get your helmet on in time?
I did. Yes. After I questioned him for a little bit, and he said, "You just get it on." I had it on, and boom! I said, "Awesome, thanks, brother."
Nice. So what was it? You said it really kind of close quarters, really difficult to traverse the mountains.
Yes.
And was it like narrow roads? What was your mode of transportation?
Most time, if we were going close by to the local villages, we'd ride. We'd drive in big MATVs, and we'd roll down there. But the roads were so tight with those vehicles. As soon as we got out into the population, we were just at a dead stop because they were so big, and the roads were so tight. And the villages, the buildings were so close to the road. It was hard to maneuver, so you'd have to get off the road, and it's better to do foot traffic over in that part of the country than anywhere else.
Okay. But it would take you forever to get from point A to
Oh,
point
yeah,
B.
100%.
Wow. Okay. Well, thank you for that glimpse. That because you obviously, different movies portray different areas, and you never really know what area it really is. So you've got the desert, and then you've got the mountainous and greenery and such. So,
So
uh,
if you've seen the movie Lone Survivor,
mhm.
that's exactly where we were.
Okay.
The exact same spot.
Excellent. Excellent. So then you went back to Korea.
No, this is all after Korea. Afghanistan was after Korea. I
Okay.
went
Did you go Korea, Afghanistan, then Korea again, or
I went
just
Korea, uh, the back to Fort Campbell, Fort Riley, to Iraq twice,
okay?
then Afghanistan, Korea, back to Afghanistan.
Okay.
So Iraq was my first tours.
What was that like?
Iraq was a great great test of your intestinal fortitude. I like to call it. If you
Wow.
thought you were tough going into the army, and then you go to war, Iraq was the litmus test for you right there. Ramadi, Iraq. If you've seen American Sniper, when he was his second tour, he was in Ramadi, Iraq. He was shooting, and that's when his buddy got killed.
Yep.
It was a horrible town. They hated us, 100% hated us. And as soon as you drive out the gate, you're getting shot at every time you drove out the gate. And we never walked anywhere there. We drove everywhere there. And if we did dismount, it was just because we were in a firefight. And you had to be tough to survive in Ramadi, Iraq.
And and obviously I've heard that from a couple different veterans that I've had on the show that were there. So I completely understand. And how different would you say Iraq was from Afghanistan?
I would say night and day. Iraq was more of it was more of an urban fight in Iraq for us. So we were in the middle of a city and fighting. And then Afghanistan, it was more of the rural areas that we were fighting in, where I was. I mean, there was other guys and gals who had the opportunity to fight within cities in Afghanistan. I didn't have that opportunity. I was in more rural areas, and so it was a little different than that confined space of Iraq. Everywhere we fought in Iraq was a confined space, and you were up against a building, and you were fighting, and you were moving from building to building to fight. Afghanistan, you were moving from tree to berm to wadi or whatever to find cover to fight. So it was two different fights, still fighting, but two different types of enemies.
That makes perfect sense to me. Out of, not that you can say there's a favorite, uh, right? I don't think I would use that terminology, but any of those, if things were different, right, and they didn't hate us, um, is there any particular place that you would want to go back and explore?
Afghanistan, 100%.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
the mountains, or
it's a beautiful country. Beautiful country. As you're flying, especially my second tour, when you're flying in, we're flying in, and the pilot's like, if you look to your right, there's Pakistan over that mountain. Here's the Hindu Kush Mountains. And they're just beautiful mountains. I love the mountains. I love the mountains here in the States. So seeing that, I was like, oh, that's pretty awesome. It's just like Appalachia, straight up. And it was just awesome to see it. So Afghanistan would be the place to see.
Okay. And what was the food like in Korea, Iraq, and Afghanistan? Did you
Korea,
eat any of it?
in all three places, yes, 100%.
Okay.
Korea, I tested everything in Korea. I ate bugs, I ate worms, had a cup full of worms. Just I'd eat the like meal worms, I think they were called. Eat them, just they eat them, and if you eat them and make any faces, they kind of make fun of you. So I just eat them and look at them, stare at them, and eat them. They were horrible. Believe me, they were 100% horrible. I wouldn't do it just by choice, but I did it because I didn't want to be the outcast. Uh, Iraq, there was a we used to get sandwiches everywhere you go. There would be a little kid that come run up and Mister, we have sandwich, and they go get you a sandwich and make you sandwiches and bring it to you and sodas. You pay them. They were good, and I never got sick from them, thank God. And Afghanistan, they give you full meals. And you sit down in the local villages, and they just feed you like you're a king, and you feel like you're being treated differently because of course you're there to help them. And they're bringing you their best their best goat, their best whatever, and you're eating it with their bread, the non bread. It's amazing the way they treat you and feed you. I think all three places I had great meals.
Well, that's excellent. I know I talked to a couple that, and one in particular was like, no, we just ate MREs.
Oh no.
I was like, well, okay. I mean, to each their own. What was it like for your wife and your kids to go with you back to Korea?
I think it was an awesome experience to have them with me. My tour there when we had a command sponsor tour. It was actually my third time in Korea. I had my second time was from Fort Riley. We went there for 60 days, so that was my third time in Korea now with them now, and I was able to experience it and as a just like almost like as a tourist with them and see my daughter be able to see how other kids around the world live. And she was able to volunteer downtown in the soup kitchens there to help feed the
Wow.
underprivileged, and she learned Hangul, which is the language of Korea, and she learned Chinese. So we went to China while
How long were you there for?
we were there for 2 years.
Okay. Well, that makes more sense then. 'Cause I was
She
like,
learned, yeah,
boy, howdy.
she was younger, so she was able to absorb these languages so much quicker than we were. And we went to China just after the Olympics were there, and so I think it was 2009. We went to China, and she went there. She was so excited to speak Chinese, and we get to the kingdom. I think it was the Park of the Gods or Park of the Sun or something. I forget the name of it. We walk in. There was two little girls sitting there, two Chinese girls, and she ran up to them. She spoke Chinese to them. She was so excited. They spoke English back. It's like, Daddy, they spoke English. I said, just play. Go ahead. And it was just three little girls playing, and
Aw.
it was amazing to see that the two cultures collide, and they're hanging out together, just playing whatever game they played. And I went and played their version of hacky sack with a elderly man off to the side. It was a good time.
Really?
Yes.
Tell you, it's the food, I'm sure, right? Keeps them young. Keeps
Yes.
them very young and agile.
Yes.
So let's go back and talk a little bit about you getting injured. So, do you know really what happened? Was this just part of a general attack that they were doing? Do they usually?
So we went out on we were doing our basically our learning the terrain basically of the area of Kunar. We went out with our unit that we were hanging out with there, our infantry unit. They were showing us where we're supposed to meet with the elders and such like that, and where we should take our unit that we were advising. And we got ambushed. So in the middle of the ambush, they tell you if you drive in the Dabogal Valley, you get about 90 minutes or they're going to attack you. So we were in there over 90 minutes. We got attacked. And the mountains kind of went along from there to the east to where our base was, our cop was. So we drove out of there. We made a U-turn, came out. We got back to base, and they started mortaring us because they just followed along the ridge line to our base. They started
Okay.
mortaring us, and we sat there, and the mortar stopped because Apaches came in and protect us. We cleared out the wounded that we had at that point. we did a check of all our guys, and my medic was like, "Hey, Sarn, I want to talk to you." I said, "What's up, man?" He said, "I was able to save two people. This is his first time in combat. It's awesome, man. This is great. It's awesome you were able to step up and do the right thing." I patted him on the shoulders, a good job. And as soon as I did that, another mortar hit behind me and went through my leg and out the front. It missed him completely. And
Wow.
I was like, "Dang." He's like, "Sarn, you hit." I said, "I'm good, man. Help someone else." And he went and helped. There was another civilian contractor that was there. He got hit in the throat. He saved his life. I went inside. I took care of myself as much as I could, and two lieutenants, Lieutenant Lord and Lieutenant Miller, helped me out a lot, and they bandaged me up and waited for evac.
Wow. And the whole time then you're driving, you're in the back headed to get evac'd out.
Yeah, we're basically in a building at this point.
Oh, okay. Okay.
We're in a building. I'm running back and forth, checking monitors, see where the fire is coming from, hanging out with my commander. Me and him, I was team sergeant, he was team leader. We're making sure everyone was okay, make sure all the critically wounded or those who we thought needed more attention than myself were getting the attention they needed. Because I refused to believe I was actually wounded because I was a hard head. And it wasn't
Did you not feel pain?
Adrenaline just takes over.
Still through this whole thing.
The whole thing. Yeah. I didn't feel myself get wounded. I'd look down, I seen the blood, I said, "That's cool, whatever." And my head stayed in the fight. And it wasn't until a special forces medic looked down at me and said, "Hey, Sergeant, you know what gangrene is?" I was like, "Yeah." He said, "Do you want it?" I said, "No." He said, "Well, get evac, get out of here." I said, "Roger, good talk, bro." And I left.
And so what was the recovery like for you?
I was off the cop for 32 hours total. So I flew out, got my surgery. Sergeant Major came up and told me I had the $1 million wound. I say, "Hey, Sergeant Major, I didn't get this. I didn't get shot in the ass. Sorry." But
No, this is your platform.
Yeah.
You say whatever you care to say.
I said, "I didn't get shot in the ass. I got hit in the knee." He said, "Yeah, but you get free license plates for life." That's a good way to look at this, bro. Good way to look at this, Sergeant Major. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Rest his soul. He was killed exactly about almost 2 months exactly later
Oh
in a
no.
suicide attack. Him and three other gentlemen were killed that day. Flo Groberg earned the Medal of Honor that day by diving on one of the suicide bombers. So, Sergeant Major Kevin Griffin, he was an awesome dude.
Wow. I thank you for saying their names. I think that's important to have that said. So thank you for that. And I'm sorry that for your loss in that situation. I can't even begin to imagine. Ron Wayne says that the Appalachian Mountains rock.
Hell yeah, they do. Hell yeah.
Mountains in general are beautiful. We're from Montana, so
Okay.
yes. So we've got some mountains. And when you made the decision you were going to retire, what kind of resources, if any, at that time did the Army provide for you prior to transitioning?
At that time, it was the Army Career and Assistance Program, ACAP, and then it turned kind of into Soldier for Life as I was transitioning. So you went through classes where they gave you the tools on how to write your resume. They gave you an overview of the VA, an overview of most other things. The one lesson I learned the most was LinkedIn. If you're not on LinkedIn, you're linked out. And that was the biggest thing I learned. I went through it twice, and the only thing I learned was LinkedIn, and we had Chinese buffet. That's what I learned during it.
Chinese buffet.
Yeah, that was the two things I learned. You get Chinese buffet both times you go to class, and you get on LinkedIn. And I've been on LinkedIn ever since.
And what? Okay, I'm still trying to think in my mind what the correlation is with the Chinese buffet.
Because the Chinese buffet was probably the best food restaurant near where I went to ACAP in Maryland.
Okay, all right. And so with LinkedIn, you've been with LinkedIn. Did you, when you ended up doing the full transition, you've obviously sounds like you finished your college.
Yes, I got my degree in January 2015 from my bachelor's degree finally, and then I retired in June of 2015, just after my daughter graduated high school.
Oh, that's awesome. And what was your major on?
For my bachelor's, it was Homeland Security emergency and emergency management.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. Back when I was in college, they didn't have that.
Yeah, when I first started, it wasn't even a thought.
Right? I know. It's just amazing to me. Sometimes you think back and you're like, that would never have even been a consideration, like ever. Boy, how the times have changed.
Yes.
And then did you pick up work anywhere?
So I took exactly 365 days off. I,
Excellent.
I
Exactly, huh?
exactly 365 days off. I looked for jobs, I applied for jobs, and they just weren't biting. They kept saying I wanted too much money, but they never asked me how much I wanted. I just wanted to get out of the house. I wanted a purpose, and
Right.
no one gave me that chance. And I volunteered at the Red Cross through. I took a fellowship with the Mission Continues, where they kind of give you a stipend for 6 months to go out into your community and reconnect with your community and volunteer. So I volunteered at the Red Cross, and I did about 700 plus hours of volunteer work over 6 months, actually 5 months, and just getting out in the community, going out there and seeing what I can do to help with the Red Cross, with the great people there. And then in June of 2016, I had an interview with the Mission Continues for an actual full time job, and I got the job. I started July 1st of 2016.
Excellent. So yeah, a lot of people say it's really difficult when they come back and they don't have something already lined up. It's really difficult because that's when they find themselves too much in their head.
Yes.
So for 365 days, that's a lot of time.
Yes. And my wife was getting very tired of me being home and drinking with my dogs. So I would just sit there, drink beer, apply for jobs, and drink with my two. I had two Lab Pit mixes at the time,
Uh-huh.
Coco and Zeus, and we'd sit there and drink beer all day. And while she was working, or
Did the
yeah,
dogs like the beer?
oh, they love beer. Yeah, at least they acted like they did. That's what we did every day, and she just said she got tired of me being there. So when I started doing the volunteer at the Red Cross, that made her happy. And then when I got the job, she seen I was actually happy at that point. I actually had a job, had a purpose to get up every day, and that made our home life a lot better. I stayed there with the Mission Continues for 2 years before I left them to do the job I currently do now, is train soldiers again. So
Excellent. So is that a government gig?
it's a government contractor. Yes.
Okay. And how do you like it?
I love it. I love every day I wake up happy to go to work and be able to help influence maybe someone's survivability on the modern battlefield now.
Okay, so you're teaching how to survive, basically a lot of the skills that you had learned.
Yes.
Okay, excellent. And let's see, so how long have you been doing that one for?
Since 2018, so 6 years now.
Nice.
Six, almost 7 years.
Okay. It sounds like it would be a really interesting field.
It's awesome. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, really, just as a civilian. I mean, I have two military boys, but as a civilian, it sounds intriguing to me. Just, you never know what tomorrow's going to bring.
Exactly. And it changes every day.
It doesn't it though?
Yes.
Uh, so now that you are out, you've gone back into the workforce, you feel like you're part of a team. What would you say to other veterans who are transitioning and looking for different resources?
All right. Things I learned since I have transitioned, things that weren't in my head when I was going towards transition were: one, when you raise that right hand and say, I will defend this Constitution for the United States of America, there's an end date. No matter what, there's an end date. Whether it's 2 years, 4 years, 20 years, there's an end date. Prepare for that. So as soon as you raise that right hand, start writing down what you want to be when you grow up. You want to grow up and be what? You want to be X. What do you want to do? And start positioning yourself to be X when you get out. Make that plan. So no matter how many years you stay in, you're ready when you take that step. When you take those boots off and throw them over that wire, you're ready to go out there in the workforce and have that purpose that you want, instead of sitting back and watching everyone else get be successful and think that you're a has been or whatever, or getting in your head, like you said earlier. And we don't need that. A second thing is take advantage of tuition assistance. Take advantage, take advantage, take advantage. Get all the education you can while you're in. If you want to build widgets when you get out, take technical classes when you're in. If you want to be in business when you get out, take business courses when you're in. Learn what you need to do to be successful on the other side of the fence. That will make you more successful once you hang up the boots.
That's excellent, excellent advice. And did you take any courses while you were in?
I was taking them. It took me a while to start taking courses. So I started college in '88 and I came in the Army in '93. And so I was slow roll. So 2015, I graduated. I said that earlier. I didn't start actually taking courses again and probably until 2099 or 2000 when I first started taking one class at a time to try to start my projection. I was still taking business courses because I still thought that would be the cool thing to do. And then after I got wounded, there was a captain on my base with me. He said, "Hey, you should probably get into emergency management and homeland security. That's where you're smart. That's what you should do." So I just pivoted and started a whole new degree path in 2013, 2012. I'm sorry, and graduated 2015.
Wow, that's excellent. Um, Tell us, okay, so I know we talked some at the beginning about the Misfit Nation. Tell us a little bit about what it is, what it entails.
Awesome, that's a great question. The Misfit Nation, when I first started it, reached back to ask my soldiers if it's all right to use the name first of all, and they are, yeah, go ahead, you can do it. But the idea behind it was to have soldiers or veterans come on, not just soldiers. Veterans come on, share their story, get that pressure off their chest. That was the pressure that's on their chest is what is another thing that we lose our veterans to. Not having a purpose and keeping that pressure within, keeping their story within. So they were able to get their story out and get that pressure off their chest and maybe stay with us a little longer. After my first probably dozen or so episodes, they reached back and said, "This is awesome. Thank you for what you're doing, but we need help with other things." I said, "What is it?" "We need help on maybe how to write a book, how to get to Hollywood, how to get on the radio, how to get into music, how to start a business." I said, "All right, challenge accepted." So I just started reaching out to people. I got on Podmatch and put out what I wanted. And now, like I told you earlier, I'll be on episode 400 at the end of this week. So just getting people in there to help them and still get veterans in to tell their story. It's a great movement.
And I think that's a wonderful thing because I've talked to so many veterans who have written books or are in the process of writing books, and they're getting it out there for themselves, but yet we get the benefit of being able to get an insight into that specific individual. So for me, I see it as kind of a win-win.
Yes.
And so that's exciting. And I know Kirk Bradley is in the process. He's waiting for the DoD to finish redacting his book.
Good luck.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. And have you ever thought about writing a book about your time in?
I have not thought about writing a book about basically my biography or nothing, but I have written two books. One's a self-help book, and one is a book about kind of tertiary or outside the line, looking at people who serve and going through the battle with the darkness. So it's called Out of the Darkness. So right here,
Excellent.
Out of the
Okay.
Darkness. That came
So can
September
they
11th.
find that on Amazon?
Yes, that is available everywhere. Actually, Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Target, Walmart, wherever you buy books, that one's sold. And my first book is The 13-Step Guide to Success.
Excellent.
That is only on Amazon.
Okay. And let's go ahead. What is is it just the Misfit Nation?
Yes.
Okay, let me put that out there too. If anybody is interested, y'all need to go out and take a look at his channel and give him a thumbs up, subscribe. I think definitely will enjoy what you see out there. I'm going to put it into the comments. Is it the Misfit Nation?
Yes, it's at for YouTube. It's at _Misfit Nation.
Okay. At underscore.
At _. So I'll put it in the chat here.
Okay, you got it in the chat? Okay.
I'll put it in the private chat. I don't know if it'll come
Excellent.
up anywhere else.
Yep. And then we'll copy it on over for everybody. Jim says he's looking at it now.
Nice. Subscribe.
He's beating you to it.
There you go.
Excellent. Let me copy that. And we're going to put it right on over into the comments. Mike McClune, Angry Sarge, thank you guys for joining. All right.
And then our website is just themisfitnation.com.
There it is, Angry Sarge. So, yes. So take a look and go to themisfitnation.com also for his website.
Yes.
And outside of that, what resources? I know where you're located, and I know I do have several Tennessee resources. What resources are you aware of outside of the VA?
Outside of VA, there's so many VSOs out there right now, and our good friend Willis highlights a lot of them, like a lot of the nonprofit organizations that come out. There's probably hundreds, maybe even thousands of veteran nonprofit organizations. Some of the best ones, of course, are the ones that are out there the most. It's the Wounded Warrior Project. They got a bad name a few years ago, but they do help veterans, benefits wise, especially. If you have a problem with your benefits, they have a smart team for your benefits. If you want to just get out and do stuff, get with the Team Red, White, and Blue.
Oh, let's take a look at that.
If you want to get out and mentor youth and do stuff in your community, get with the Travis Manion Foundation. I'm a co-leader of the Travis Manion Foundation's Clarksville chapter here, and we go into schools, we go into the USO on post, and we mentor youth, and we have character development sessions, and character does matter development sessions where we try to show them the strengths that they have and how to build upon them to be the future leaders of America.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, let's put this out there.
And of course, don't be afraid to go to your local VFW posts and your local American Legion posts and see what they have to offer. Don't just shut them out before you go in there. Go in there and just check out what they're doing and see if it's a fit for you. One or the other will be a fit for you. Get in there and see what you can do to be the change in those organizations.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's I think it's really important. Do your own work.
Yes.
To check it out. Let's see if I can. I had too many dots in this thing, so let's add that. Save. There it is. Let's see. I think does that look right on the screen? Okay, excellent. So that's teamredwhiteandblue.org.
Yes.
I know there are also, there's one that is I think they're located in Nashville, but they handle all of Middle Tennessee. And now I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head. And they do everything from food to help with vehicles, etc. So looks like Ron Wayne has subscribed. Mike McClune has also subscribed.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yes, that's excellent. So while it looks like if you guys have any questions for Rich, go ahead and get them put out in the comments and we'll get him to answer those for you.
I just put Travis Manion in the chat as well for you. And they do the heroes run down there by you at Murfreesboro.
Oh, okay.
I think it's August or September. They do the heroes run down there, and an awesome organization. That's the ones I told you they go out and mentor and such.
Excellent. Paste that. Okay. We'll put another one out there for y'all if you're here in Middle Tennessee.
They're nationwide. That's the one I know here is the Run by You, and then us up here in Clarksville.
Excellent. So those are going to be, I'll be adding those over into the links on the main page of the show for resources. So we'll be adding those as well. So if you guys are looking for resources, scroll through. I try and put all of those out there for everybody. So it doesn't matter what state. A lot of them are from national. Jim went ahead and, oh, yeah, I did forget Killian's favorite question. Jim also subscribed. Jason subscribed. Look at that. So, okay. So, yes, my oldest Marine's favorite question.
All right.
All right. You ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you get to work with any Marines while you were deployed?
Hell yeah, I did. 2-4 Marines, the Magnificent Bastards, out of the First Marine Division. I got to work with them in Al Ramadi, Iraq. Jim Mattis, probably one of my biggest heroes, General Mattis. He was the person who awarded me my first Bronze Star. Great influence on my life, great influence on my leadership style. The Marines I got to work with from the Magnificent Bastards over our fights in Ramadi forever hold a place in my heart. It was great to be with them.
Excellent. Yes, that's a question he always asks. Haven't seen him tonight. Like I said, he actually transitioned out on April 18th. So he is now spending time with family. And so he's looking to go back to do some college or trade school, I guess. And so he's just playing catch up with family. So happy.
Awesome.
Happy for him. Okay, so it looks like Jim always asks a couple things too. So we're ready if you can type fast. Let's go, Jim. Yeah, he said that the mortar and knee, not fun, but it should pay off in retirement for disability.
Yeah, it's wonderful. It's a good weather barometer too.
Oh my gosh, I can only imagine. I get the migraines when the weather changes, right? I can only imagine what that knee does.
My knee does this great throbbing thing, and also the shrapnel kind of moves throughout the body that they left in me that they couldn't get out. So when I go through TSA, it's an awesome event every time.
Did they give you like a little card to say,
They don't
hey,
care.
there's shrapnel?
They don't care.
And then they make you go back to a strip search, and oh my gosh, I can only imagine.
They tell me there's something in my neck. I say, you can see my neck? I mean, all right, thank you.
Yeah, it's not coming out at this point.
Yes.
So Jim's first question. So have you ever come across Mitchell West or Jennifer McAfee?
I have not, no.
So yeah, I know he knows Jennifer really well. I'm guessing he knows Mitchell West, but
where are they from?
Yep. Jim, go ahead and put where they're out of. And while we wait for that, please, if you haven't already, go ahead and at the end of this, go ahead and hit that comment button that thumbs up button, comment if you would, and share. Very important. I know he's typing.
You can see it too.
I know, right? I see the steam coming out. So what kind of plans do you have coming up in the next couple months? Anything going on?
Working on my dissertation for my doctorate now and in Homeland Security. That's what I was working on before we started the show here. I have about 22 more pages to do before I can submit it for my defense. And hopefully I'll be Dr. Rich at the end of this year, or maybe
Dr. Rich. We get to call you Dr. Rich. Exciting.
Yes, or by May at the latest. And I look forward to it. My wife will be happy I'll be done with school, so she'll be extremely happy. I'm finishing my next book, which is the second in the series of the Out of the Darkness, is the Forged in Resilience. That should come out by December as well.
Oh, wonderful. That's great. You'll have to make sure to message me so we can get that put out there. So Jim says He grew up with Mitch in Montana, retired 30 years, and then Jen McAfee, West Point, class of 95, and 22 years when we broke up. Arizona for her mostly.
All right.
You never know. So, all right. Well, I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. Rich, did you have any last words, anything more you wanted to say or share?
No, I think we covered everything. If you are a veteran and you need anything, don't hesitate to reach out to someone. If you need to reach out to me, go to themisfitnation.com or Rich LaMonica at 101 at gmail.com. I will get back with you. I will make sure you stay on this side of the dirt and we take care of you and get you what you need.
Excellent. So Jim said that you had some great comments and suggestions. And as far as what the recruiters should be saying is talking about thinking ahead to your retirement at the time that you swear in.
Definitely.
So I really agree with that. Jim says, again, thank you. So
Jason.
Jim, he says, yeah, breaking up with the colonel, not smart.
Yeah, that was a bad move. What's wrong with you?
Who knows? All right, everybody. We really appreciate you coming out again. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share. Let's get the word out for our veterans that there is a place here. They are welcome to come and tell their stories. And Rich, I really, really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to come and join us and have a conversation. If you want to hang tight, we're going to go ahead and get things ending here. So, all right, everybody, you have a great night. Thank you, Rich.
Good night, everybody.